Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. We're excited to talk about how to elevate your localization with AI-powered efficiency and quality with our partner, Clearly Local. So let me first introduce who we have here in a panelist. My name is Roxy. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at Phrase. My job is to help organizations reach localization success through efficient utilization of the Phrase platform. And then we also are very excited to have invited Francesca, our localization director here at Phrase.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Francesca Sorrentino. Thank you for having me. I'm the localization director at Phrase, and in my role, I'm in charge of localizing the Phrase platform. So we translate and localize the UI of our tools, our websites, and our help center using our own localization platform, which gives us the possibility to really understand more of the use cases and the challenges of our customers. Our platform is localized in 10 languages, including Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. As for myself, I have been in the localization industry for 15 years. 3 years at Phrase, and before joining Phrase, I was a localization manager mainly at gaming companies, but also on the language service provider side.
Thank you. We're also super excited to invite the managing director of Clearly Local, Philip. Philip?
Yeah, Roxy, thanks for having us on the webinar. My name is Philippe. I'm currently calling from Paris. And I'm managing overall operations at Clearly Local. I've been in the industry for also like close to 15 years, like Francesca. And in my role, I'm basically focusing on supporting our customers to take their content global and work together with the team to find the best technologies to apply on their projects. And this is why we're partnering with Phrase and on this webinar today.
Thank you. On to our next panelist, Jill, who is the Customer Success Director from Clearly Local.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you here. I'm Jill. I actually also have been in the industry for about 15 years. And currently, I'm the Customer Success Director from Clearly Local. I'm in charge of the project management team. And actually, our team works very closely with Phrase on a daily basis.
Thank you. On to our agenda today. Let me walk you through our agenda so you may know what to expect. First, we'll start with a brief introduction of Phrase, our robust localization platform, and Clearly Local, our language service provider partner. Next, we'll dive into the demo of buyer-vendor sharing jobs and project scenario. We'll discuss practical examples of how these sharing capabilities keep projects on track and ensure both parties stay aligned throughout the localization process. And then we're going to explore custom AI and AutoLQA, two of Phrase's most innovative features. So this section will include a demo and panel discussion on how custom AI allows you to create tailored machine translation engines specific to your content needs, and how AutoLQA may help facilitate quality assurance process. We'll also share insights on how businesses are leveraging this technology to address unique localization challenges. Lastly, we'll open the floor to your questions. Feel free to jot down any thoughts as we go along, and we'll leave a few minutes to address them at the end of this session. Okay, so now for those of you who are new to us, Phrase is a global leader in translation technology. We are a comprehensive localization platform that helps businesses manage and automate their translation workflows. It integrates translation management, machine translation, and AI-driven solutions to streamline the process of localizing content across different languages and regions. We cater to a wide range of businesses across various industries, particularly those with significant multilingual content or need for global expansion. We help thousands of organizations engage their customers at scale to accelerate growth. Many of our customers are themselves language service providers who expertly handles end-user clients' complex translation requests. Though we don't provide translation services ourselves here at Phrase, we do collaborate with LSPs closely to provide end-to-end localization solutions so that we can deliver localized content that meet the high standards of global brands. And now I'll hand it over to Philip, who will introduce to us a little bit about Clearly Local.
Sure. So for those who do not know about Local yet, we're a young and dynamic language service provider offering end-to-end content solutions for our customers, from content creation, translation, localization, and localization testing. We're working across the entire content lifecycle. Our vision is to offer fully integrated services and serve as an extension of your teams. And because we aim to help companies offer the best user experience to your customers, we also work alongside with your teams to go beyond and support strategic projects such as usability testing, video creation, and other AI services such as AI GC or LLM training. A few interesting facts to mention about Local. So despite being quite young LSP, we're already ranked top 16 in Asia, according to Slater LSPI. We are also the youngest amongst Phrase partners. And on the project side, we wanted to highlight that this year we have translated over 1 million words into several African languages. And I'm not talking about the most common, like languages like Swahili, Hausa, and Amharic. It was more exotic languages. And we also produce this year more than 50 original contents articles for one of our clients every month. So if you want to learn more about us and hear more about the stories, feel free to visit our website to see what are our capabilities.
Thank you, Philip. Now let's dive into some real-life use cases of localization pain points, and we're going to discuss our solutions to address them in detail. So one of the most common methods for end users and LSPs to collaborate on Phrase is through the job project sharing mode in Phrase TMS. Often we see businesses struggle with challenges like, how do we centralize workflow and collaboration? How do we track project progress and ensure transparency? Is there any way to improve efficiency through automation? What about consistency and quality control? How do we achieve cost and time saving, ensure scalability and flexibility? And what about data security and confidentiality concerns? So next, we'll invite Francesca and Jill to share their experiences dealing with these problems. They will each play the role of an end user buyer and a LSP provider to demonstrate a solution for working with such a scenario. So first off, we'll start by playing the demo video recorded by Francesca to show how it works in Phrase when buyers share a job with a vendor, and then Francesca will share more insights further.
Quickly show you how you can assign vendors to jobs and share jobs with your vendor. So in this case, the jobs have already been created. These correspond to pages on our website. And if you want to assign vendors to them, you can do it very easily from here. And you can assign them from a template. So you will see that the jobs are now assigned. Once the vendor are assigned, you will be able to create an analysis, which in this case I have already created, and a quote that you will be able to create from the analysis that that was just created. In this case, I have already created the quote as well, and it's here. And this information, so all the jobs and analysis and quote is also available for the vendor in their own TMS instance. If you and they're already available on their TMS. If you want to send them a notification, what you can do is from here, you can send them an email. And it's already, the template is already predefined. So you can send them an email to let them know that they have a number of jobs available. If you don't have a template or for any reason you want to assign your vendors manually or one by one, you can also do it from here. And select your vendor or provider, save. Now it's assigned, and you can do it for each job separately, or maybe select a few of them if you know that they're going to be assigned to the same provider. Obviously, you don't have to perform all these actions I just showed you, from assigning vendors to creating quotes and sending tasks manually. They can all be automated. In Phrase TMS, through project templates, automated project creation, orchestrator, among other capabilities, you have the ability to create projects and jobs automatically from a folder or an online repositories, for example, and assign vendors and send job translation requests automatically. Okay, so what we saw in the demo was the option of assigning separate tasks to different vendors or different providers. In Phrase TMS, we also have the option of assigning a whole project to a vendor. And that gives your vendor or your provider the possibility of perform some further actions on your project that are not possible when you assign jobs separately. For example, if you assign a whole project to your provider, they can create, edit, or delete jobs, analysis, reference files. They can split, pre-translate, or download jobs. They can add workflow steps. They can assign their own vendors, their own linguists to jobs, add translation memories, add term bases, or for example, see your machine translation engines and perform pre-translation from there, among the different actions that they can perform. I think I can give the stage over back to you, Roxy.
Right. Thank you, Francesca. So now next up, having said that, how it works on the Phrase side from the buyer side, we'll invite Jill from Clearly Local to show us how these shared jobs and projects shared from Phrase will be managed on the vendor side in a demo. So first start with a demo also.
From my part, I will talk about how it looks like on our side after we receive the project. As you can see on the screen, I'm showing 2 emails we received from Phrase. So basically, when we receive the project, we will receive the email notification. On the left, this is the notification of the translation jobs shared by Francesca. And on the right is an email of a task Roxy shared to us. Roxy shared the whole project to us. So Francesca mentioned just now, all those email contents can be customized. And usually the Phrase link will be included in the email. So by clicking this link, we can access the project page. So here you can see the interface of the project page in Phrase. On the left, this is the project Francesca shared to us. We only have jobs here. And on the right, this is the project shared by Roxy. This is a complete project. There are some differences in these 2 types of sharing. So on the right, the complete project sharing will give us more permissions on the projects. So by clicking the button Edit on the top right, we could edit the project settings like the buyer, change all those items for the project properties. And also for the complete project, we could also see the progress of other languages in this dashboard, but on the left, we don't have this kind of dashboard. So except for those above mentioned items, the rest of them, they should be the same. Both of them have analysis, quotes, translation memories, term bases, and references. I would like to mention the analysis function here. So when we receive the project, if the client provides the analysis, we could check it and compare it with our evaluation. So in that case, we can confirm the project scope. At the same time, we can further confirm the amount of quotation. So for the job assignment from our side, we could do the same. So we could also select the jobs and then we can assign from our templates. Then the providers will be added automatically. Next, I will show you some functions on the phrase edit. So you just need to click the job and the file will be opened automatically. So here you can see this is the interface of the edit. You can see source and the target. I'm not going to cover everything in detail, but I just want to highlight some useful functions. Firstly, I want to mention the preview function. So as you can see, when you click any segment, it will go to the place where this segment will be placed in the preview function. This is very helpful for the linguist to get the context. You can also choose between source and the target. And on the top right, we have the places for fuzzy matches and term bases. And on the right, we have more useful functions. You can search for TM and TB from the concordance search. And here, this is the function for quality assurance. There are many items you can choose from for your customized QA settings. And then you have the place to check the translation in different workflows, and you can see the difference in different workflows. This is a very useful function. If there are multiple languages for this job, you can search for them and you can get a translation for any reference. And this is the place where you can add. One good thing is that you can actually contact the project buyer and the project owner. So you just go to here and you can add to mention the people. If you add them, they will receive the notification. So here, the last one is about LQA. We are going to cover this part later. That's pretty much about all the functions I want to share from my part. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Okay, so after the demo, I also want to list some summary here. We have been using Phrase for actually a very long time, and it indeed improves the efficiency greatly in our project execution. Their agile model supports us on various different requests. And we are very happy to collaborate with Phrase because we feel that Phrase is a company that is keen on technology. Since the day when we started working with them, they have developed a lot of new functions, including the AI part we are going to cover in this webinar later. Okay, that's what.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you very much. So next up, we're also very thrilled to talk about Phrase Custom AI and AutoLQA. So Custom AI is our advanced machine translation solution designed for personalized high-quality results. Custom AI enables you to create and train your own machine translation models that are tailored to specific industries, domains, or even brand preferences. So this means you can adapt machine translation to better fit unique terminology and stylistic nuances, offering your clients more relevant, accurate translations every time. AutoLQA, on the other hand, is our automated linguistic quality assurance tool. So this is designed to streamline the quality control process by automatically detecting common translation errors, such as inconsistencies, missing terminology, formatting issues, and more. So this tool ensures that translations meet the highest standards with minimal manual effort, providing teams with an efficient way to catch errors in an early stage. And to see these tools in action, we're excited to bring in Philip from Clearly Local. As an LSP, Clearly Local is leveraging the combined power of Custom AI and AutoLQA to deliver tailored, high-quality translations for their clients efficiently and consistently. Philip will guide us through a live demonstration showing us how they use Custom AI to adapt translations to specific industry needs and how AutoLQA is helping with that process. Okay, over to you, Philip.
All right, let me see if I can do the sharing properly. All right, cool. You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we wanted to bring on the elaborate on custom AI on a real case scenario that we used a little bit earlier this year. The project was actually a gaming project, as you can see. The work on was about 800,000 words. The language pair was English into Brazilian Portuguese. And just as a note, we actually applied the progressive rollout by batch for the project. Our goals, considering custom AI for the project, was to basically meet the client's deadline, which was, like as usual, always a little bit challenging. Also, we are always trying to find the best solutions to bring a cost-effective approach for a project. So that was, like the budget in mind that we wanted to use custom AI. And also, like the last two ones are a sort of validation process, one from the client side, making sure that they understand and they actually sort of approve the process using custom AI, and also like on the linguist side, we do know that a lot of linguists are sort of sometimes sensitive or reluctant to actually use AI for translation project with post editing, and we wanted to actually see how it worked and train them on the process. So before I get to the demo, I wanted to share a few disclaimers. The first one is that the process was, like I mentioned, discussed with the client. It was agreed before we actually rolled out, so it was very transparent between us during the cooperation. The demo that I will be showing is actually not the entire process. It's just showing one part of the process, because otherwise it will take much longer time. To comply with the NDA, obviously, we're not able to share, any names of the project, the client names or the contents. And last but not the least, as many will imagine, we actually pre-recorded the video, the demo, just to avoid any technical issues in case. Okay, so let me bring the demo. So the demo itself contains three parts. The first one is actually the dataset preparation to train the custom AI engine. The second part is going to be creating and training the MT model using the dataset. And the last one will be the deployment of the trained MT model on the project. And we will see how it worked compared to regular MT engine. Okay, so here is basically the UI of custom AI, you can see. And on the left-hand side, you can see there are like two modules. The first one is datasets, the second one being MT models. Sorry. What we're going to be doing is creating the first dataset, the new dataset, using basically a translation memory that we have in hands. And here you name the dataset, you input the language, like pair. Very important to select the right target language locals. As we see here is Brazilian Portuguese, so we want to make sure you're selecting the right one. And then after selecting the right language pair and locals, you will see that we are invited to actually select the data source, which is basically the translation memory. So from this view, we're going to be easily selecting the right translation memory. We're using the search engine here, the filter, and we're going to be adding it as the dataset for the project. Okay. So what is going to be quite interesting is to see the word count, the segment counts. So here we can see that our translation memory we mounted on this dataset is about 27,000 segments. It's sizable. It's not very large, but it's sizable. Phrase do indicate that they recommend at least 3,000 segments to make sure it's going to be relevant. So with our 27,000, we are, like obviously way beyond this minimum. And then we're going to continue, and this is where it gets quite interesting. So here we are going to get into the second stage, which is basically cleaning and filtering the right, like content for the datasets. And you can see there's actually quite a large range of options from, like selecting by date, making sure that we're actually excluding or including, like misaligned source and target segments. We can actually select the minimum number of character counts for, like the data set. Oftentimes in the TM, you will have like segments that are actually very short. Perhaps there are units, perhaps there are numbers. And we actually want, in this case, to make sure that those very short segments are going to be excluded, because otherwise, like it may impact the relevance and the quality of the data set. The same in the opposite, you can also like limit the length of the segments. When they are too long, sometimes it can be like a combination of different sentences or phrases, and that's why it can also impact the quality of like the training for the MT model. Obviously, you can also like exclude the regular non-translatables, duplicates, because it's not necessary to have them. And what is actually quite interesting here offered by Phrase is that you can basically toggle on or off whether or not you want to actually include the near duplicates. And as you can see in the clear description, the near duplicates is what we call internally like fuzzies. Basically, is when you have a segment that is very similar because of but still different. And the difference is due to maybe like some extra spaces, some punctuations, or maybe the number that are different, or the variables that are different. So you can decide whether or not you want to actually include them into the process. Okay. And next, you will see language identification. So basically, to explain a bit more what it is sometimes in the translation memory, you may have also a mix of different languages, like for different reasons. And I'm sure everyone who have done, like some projects will understand that. But basically, you can actually ask Phrase to identify whether the segments are not in line with the language pairs that we have selected in the settings. And here, last but not the least, is actually the decision on the QPS. So you can see that we can decide using the Phrase QPS scoring system whether or not we want to remove some what we call low quality translation within the translation memory. So basically what it does is that QPS will help us to score every single translated segment within the TM, and any translations that we feel that is below, we decided to go with 30%, we can basically decide to remove them from the data set. And again, these settings are all meant to make sure that when we're going to be using the data set to train the model, we're going to be using high quality segment translated or data set. So we're creating the data set here, and as you can see, it's been cleaned right here, and we're going to be seeing it ready for training. Okay. So next is for us to actually go and train an MT model using these data sets. So we're going to the MT models view, train a new MT model. We're going to name it for our project. And then we're going to be selecting the data set. This is when we select the data set we just created in the previous step. Once we have selected the data set, we can see, we basically moved from 27,000 segments down to 8,600 segments. Reason is that we actually excluded some of them. We actually removed the duplicates, removed the NTs, and this is why it became much smaller. So this is why it's really important to have like a larger size of TM to make sure that you can have like still a good number of segments for your training. And then we'll go for creating and train, and you will see that in the view it's being trained live and then being ready for deployment. So once we have like the MT model being trained, we're going to prepare it to mount it on the project. So for that, within Phrase, you go to Phrase Language AI function, Phrase TMS. You're going to basically create your new MT that you're going to be using called Custom Game AI Engine. And then in here, you're going to select the MT engine you want to use. In our case, we wanted to use Phrase Custom Next MT. And then we're going to select it. And then from there, you can basically select the custom model, the train model that you just created. So this is basically the model ID of the MT we just trained. You have the language pair, and then you're going to add it. Now it's ready here, and we're going to see how it basically behaves on the actual project. So this is the part of the project, and we're going to go into the project settings, where we're going to be adding the MT engine we just trained, which is here. We're going to mount it into the project. save it, and then we're going to run the translation using the MT. All right, so we go here. We pre-translate using the MT. And the pre-translation is going through. Once the translation is done, what we wanted to do here is basically use the function that Roxy just introduced, AutoLQA, which is basically to help us evaluate the quality output of this MT that we trained. And let's see what we have. Once we have run the AutoLQA, we can see that the quality indicator is going to be coming out. And right here, you will see that basically, obviously, it's going to be under fail because as much as the AI and the MT is improving, the outcome, actually, the output of the MT still doesn't really match the like the quality standards. And obviously, this is where like the human takes place, and we still, for now, like obviously needs the professional translator to come in and do the post editing. The score here is 90.14. And what we're going to be doing here on the left is basically run the same exact project with the MT that is not going to be trained as we did and see what is the result. So here we're also using, for the sake of apple-to-apple comparison, we're still going to be using phrase language AI MT model, but not trained. We're going to be running, we have done the translation via MT, and we're going to see what is the quality assessment by the AutoLQA. And as you will see here on the left, basically the quality, the AutoLQA score is actually lower than the one we had with the trained engine. The idea, obviously, is to say that the more we're going to be, preparing the data sets and train the model, the higher we can get onto, the quality score by AutoLQA. But basically, the feeling we had also from the linguist was actually quite similar to the score we see from AutoLQA. So at the end of this, I would say, project, we sort of tried to actually see what was the outcome on the project side and the client side. Basically, using custom AI on the project really helped us to actually speed up the process. We went faster by 5 weeks on the overall project, which is actually quite significant. Even more significant is actually the cost saving that we brought to the client for this project, still meeting the quality requirements. So we were basically 28% down on the costs compared to the estimation if we were running regular projects. And I think this is really the highlight for us, is that the process we use for this project using custom AI was actually validated by the client. The overall sentiment was actually quite positive, despite on the side of the speed and the cost. Really, the quality on the deliverables was actually something that actually satisfied the client and also the linguist, because we have a positive engagement with our linguists working on the project. And like I said before, at the very beginning, it was really one of the goals is to make sure that we had the people, the humans, working on the process that will be fully on board onto this workflow. Going forward, because I mentioned AutoLQA, I wanted to mention I wanted to show you guys maybe two or three views of what we can get from AutoLQA besides the score we see on the screen. The first one is we have to keep in mind that basically beyond just being a quality score, AutoLQA actually helps linguists, as Jill and Roxy mentioned, to fix some quality issues they may have within the translation process. So as you can see on the right-hand side here, you can basically see the AI suggestions for some of the potential issues that may appear. And basically, the linguist can decide whether or not they want to implement corrections based on that. The second thing we can do is basically export reports based on the AutoLQA. This is what we do at Clear Local. Once we have a custom AI being used or translation being done by linguists, we usually run the AutoLQA reports, and we're sharing those with the linguist. And then the linguist will be coming back to us, say, okay, indeed, that there was maybe an issue in some of the project, and some others were actually just false alarm. So it's very useful. We're expanding, like the usage of custom AI and AutoLQA. We're discussing this with our customers, and whenever like it's possible, we're basically rolling it out as much as possible, because we understand the goals from the companies working with us.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip.
Yeah.
So we still have some time before we take questions from the audience. So one question, like I'm sure a lot of us are quite interested, which is also coming from some of our existing customers, is so I want to just raise this question to the panel here. As we're seeing more and more AI-related features coming out to the industry, in particular, like AutoLQA, custom AI, I'm sure we'll be seeing more AI-related features in the future. So as a buyer or as a vendor, how do you think this will revolutionize our industry? Like, what's your take on this? If you have some insights, feel free to share with us here.
Maybe I can start us off. As I think Felipe was also mentioning, for sure, using more AI is going to allow us to be more efficient and save time. And I think one of the main things, and what is most exciting for me, is that we're going to be able to eliminate a few steps, especially on the project management side of localization, that are very repetitive, that do not require very special skills, and that we have been looking forward to, to remove from our plate. And from maybe a linguistic perspective, I think AI is going to support the linguist jobs and the language industry as a whole.
Thank you, Francesca. Maybe Philip and Joe.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Francesca said. I think like we're in. I think this is a very recurrent question that is actually coming over and over. It's been like almost 3-4 years that people are talking about AI, and I think that regardless whether you're a customer, an LSP, or like obviously a language technology company like Phrase, AI is definitely going to be something that is going to be existing, and we have to actually embrace it. I'm sure many people on the webinar today have seen discussions on communities, LinkedIn, or forums about it, and basically the way we're seeing is that AI is going to be more and more prominent in translation work, for the translation part, but also like maybe the project management part, like Francesca mentioned. Phrase has an orchestrator that is actually quite well built, and we're also like exploring ways to use it on our side. Now, on the linguist side and the LSP side, we do see opportunities for on our side to actually help our customers to train AI so that it can be used more efficiently in the future. Also bring our know-how on how to actually apply AI solutions, because it's not something that is necessarily, like I would say, like given to everyone to understand the whole workflow and life cycle of a project. So being an LSP, we believe that we still have our we definitely have our role to play when it comes to implementing AI solutions overall. I mentioned when introducing the company that we're also like developing more services on our side to actually help our customers with added value projects like video creation or LLM trainings. And this is where we also see the transformation on our side, and by extension, the linguists working with us overall. So as much as we're going to be seeing more and more AI in our daily work, on our side, we need to also like be ready and adapt accordingly to this transformation happening in the industry.
Thank you.
So from my side, I have been in this industry for more than 15 years, and my work is actually mainly dealing with the project management. So I feel I experienced a lot of different stages in our industry. So in the beginning, maybe we did a lot of things manually, and later we have more and more automation. We eliminated the manual work and we improved the productivity. So also the communication, how we communicate with each other. Before we always in the same office, right? But now working remotely and the Android working mode is more and more popular the whole world. So we are more streamlined about the communication methods and also our process. So I think, those kind of automation and AI stuff will enhance our competitive strength in the market. And we are now in the era of AI. And I believe that actually I feel that AI will help us to develop more possibilities.
Thank you. So clearly Local obviously takes the position of embracing AI in this new trend era. So how do you say to, some linguists or some players within the industry that are a little bit of the critic of AI or thinking that this may take over the actual linguist job? And what's your take on this then?
Having a critical mindset is definitely something that is positive, to be honest. So I think it's definitely worth to take all the consideration, the comments from everyone, and see how we can all together, experts in the industry, improve AI for usability in projects and for customers. To be honest, we've been exploring and experimenting AI a lot in the company. And indeed, not everything is actually working. We have spent a lot of time and efforts on trying to apply solutions for some functionalities of AI or some projects. And sometimes the time and effort that you're putting out to actually get to the results that the client is expecting is actually more than if you would do it without AI. So even though we're embracing fully AI on our side, it doesn't mean that we're actually implementing AI on every single part of the project or any single projects. We have to, I think this is where we bring the expertise. We have to be able to evaluate when AI or the use of AI in the future could be actually relevant or helping customers. It doesn't work for everything. Some customers come to us and say, okay, I have these a few thousand words, or I want to actually do training for our FAQ. I was like, okay, but maybe the data set is not relevant, it's not big enough to actually do it. How about we actually consider another way to do it? So I think it's having a critic is good, and I hope that it's going to help us, Phrase, and all the experts of the industry to actually get better on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your take. We know for sure from Phrase side, when we developed custom AI and AutoLQA, all these AI features, it was designed in a way to help facilitate a current linguist sort of job to make it faster, but not to replace linguist job for sure. So that's our original intent, let's put it that way. But then since Philip already mentioned about this topic, you mentioned about that some clients would prefer to have some of their data sets trained, but the content is not big enough. So how would you recommend to be the size for training a custom model, and which particular industry do you think is most suited for this type of custom model training?
Yeah, so it's everyone's going to be asking about the data set, how big it should be. To be honest, we haven't necessarily found a clear pattern. Some of the model actually produce very good results. Some of the training can produce very good results with a few thousand segments, as we can see on the demo I just showed. But for some of the projects, we ended up having average performance despite the larger size of the data set. So I would say, you have to try it. Anyone who wants to actually get onto custom AI, just make some tries and pilot with different language pairs, different type of content, and try to see how it works internally. If you'd like us to actually help, obviously we're happy, but it's very hard to actually say exactly how big should be the data set. I'm tempted to say the larger the better, but obviously if your data set is actually poor quality, you may actually as well not include that into the training. For the type of content though, we clearly see on our side, based on the experiment we have and the project we've been working on, that I would say anything that is more technical may have like a better performance in terms of accuracy. For instance, anything that is marketing sometimes may face inconsistencies or also like lower score by AutoLQA, because sometimes you will have like comments from AutoLQA saying that some part of the source is missing in the target, but that usually happens when it comes to marketing contents, because you need to actually adapt to the different markets. You have to adapt culturally, and this is why like some of the idioms or like content from the source is not reflecting the target, as opposed to technical or legal, where accuracy is actually quite important. So and I think in a way it's a bit similar to what we had a few years ago when we were talking about MT and MT. It's still similar. Like anything that is more creative is more complex to address by technology in general.
Okay, thank you. So we still have about 15 minutes left. I believe we're okay to take some questions. Let's see if we have any questions coming in. Oh, let me briefly share the QR code again, just in case. If we haven't been able to scan it yet, be sure to scan your code and post your questions here for us to answer. Okay, so we have some questions coming in. I see the first one. Can AutoLQA replace traditional LQA? It's a very good question. Let's take turns for this question, okay? So I'll start. From the phrase product side, currently AutoLQA is designed. We had 2 iterations basically for this feature. The first time we have it released, it was simply giving a score, like telling you how good AI predicts there might be certain errors, and then we give you suggestions. There is a default LQA profile telling you if it's a pass or a fail. But based on the recent update of Phrase, we also added another optimization, which is to allow linguists to add it on top of this AutoLQA. Which is why we're saying that AutoLQA is designed in a way to help linguists to facilitate the traditional LQA process. Essentially, if you think about it, originally every segment needs to be LQA'd by a human. Now we only need AI to identify problematic areas. Now it may not be inaccurate. It may be inaccurate, but linguists can also add it on top of it. So sort of similar to the old post-editing sort of process that we used to witness. So this is how Phrase is currently going as for direction-wise, let's say. Maybe Francesca or Philip, Jill, would you have something?
Yeah, and from our side, I think AutoLQA can be something that we offer to the linguist for reference about the overall quality. And at the same time, the AutoLQA actually, there is an AI function that you can point out the problem and can suggest some edits. So for everything related to AI, that's my take. I suggest that we still need the human to do the verification. So the reliability of the AI actually is a question mark. We cannot just use it directly. Still, we need someone to verify this.
Thank you. All right. If we don't have more to add, maybe we can go for the next question.
If I can add, sorry, to Rick's
Sure.
questions. My short answer is no. The AutoLQA will not shall not replace traditional LQA. And I'm sure it's the case in your company. In our company, is the same. When we do LQA, we're not just running, like basic, I would say, like QA functions from any, like a Phrase or any TMS. We have, like a customized checklist that we're creating for specific clients and specific projects. And AutoLQA and probably any AI LQA tool right now has not the possibility to integrate that in easily on their side. So perhaps in the future, there will be like a function for us to train, like AutoLQA based on checklists we have. But right now, it's not the case.
Thank you. And Francesca, do you have something?
I also don't think the point is to replace traditional LQA, but from a client perspective, from a production perspective, it's very useful to select content that needs specific attention or specific LQA, and that surely helps reduce costs.
Yeah. What is really good about the AutoLQA, and I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to see it in the screen I was sharing. It goes beyond just like traditional punctuation and like inconsistencies. It can actually try to actually make some recommendations based on the contents. So, for instance, like I said, maybe some important information from the source that are not reflecting in the target, that are not part of the TB. If you were using traditional QA tools, obviously you will need to have a TB to make sure that like there's no key terms mismatch in this case. But with AutoLQA, because it's AI like based, so you have the possibility to analyze the source against the target. So it's sort of complementary in a way.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Okay, I think we're ready for the next question. Could you share some AI best practice examples? I have one. Let me start with one. If you guys have some, feel free to add. I just come on the top of my head because I work with a lot of regional clients that also try to explore phrase products in a very innovative way. And some of them are trying to include AutoLQA into part of their process. So this is one of my clients' real examples, right? So they work with a lot of low sensitive content that they're okay with no human reviewing those content at all. So their highest priority would be to release the translation, to finish the translation as fast as possible. And as for the quality, as long as it reaches the benchmark, is fine for them. So for this type of content, they opted for machine translation first. And then originally, everything needs to be post-edited. But right now, they feel like this is taking a lot of time. So there is a potential solution coming up to use AutoLQA to give it a score for all of this machine translated content to see which one has passed AutoLQA. And according to this client's initial testing, we seem to have seen that AutoLQA, well, it's not entirely accurate as a human, but it tends to be very strict. It tends to have some false positives, but it's very strict. So that's a good thing for them if you think about it this way. Essentially, they can ask AutoLQA and see which one even passes AutoLQA's threshold. And then that means they can skip the review, a human review completely. If it's a fail, marked by AutoLQA, and then they will invite another human reviewer to check all the AutoLQA marked areas to see if those are truly false positives or something they need to accept as the true error. And then this will be their new process. And we're still considering this use case can be implemented really or not. But essentially, if it's implemented, we can even automate the entire process by using another feature of Phrase, which is called Orchestrator, because there is a decision tree embedded into this entire workflow. You're asking Orchestrator to check if AutoLQA marks it as a pass or a fail. And then depending on that decision tree, we skip a review step or we go through that review step nonetheless. So that's one use case I think is particularly very useful to this particular client. Not saying it's the best use case for all the clients, but I'm just saying that this one seems to be very interesting for that client. I'm also quite curious as to if any of our panelists here have some other AI best practice examples that you want to share.
Maybe I'll share something here.
Thank you.
I think what is important to keep in mind when we think about AI is that it's highly customizable. And at the moment, there is no AI solution or very few AI solutions that you can use like outside the box and that is going to work for all your specific use cases. So it's very important to identify how AI can help your processes, your workflows, your organization, and design a process that includes AI and that is suitable for the objectives that you have, for the challenges that you have. Otherwise, it can be frustrating and it can be disappointing if you want to apply a functionality or a capability outside the box.
Thank you so much. Anything new?
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say the same. The purpose and the goals need to be clear, actually. If you're able to, from the beginning, have a clear goal on why you want to use AI, that will probably do a big part of the work already. The other things that I will mention are probably I would say common knowledge, but basically you want to make sure that you have like I said in the demo, a large enough data set to use AI. We're not talking about only training, but the volume that you want to actually whether it's translation or number of articles you want to create, the volume needs to be large enough. Otherwise, fine-tuning, customizing AI solutions may not be great. So it's important to understand that the use of AI actually makes a lot of sense when it's actually quite scalable in terms of volume. The second best practice I would say is what Jill mentioned, is make sure you always have a human in the loop. Right now, AI solutions are not fully reliable, and I'm sure no company would be taking any risk of getting some content out that is not great. Unless, we mentioned before, some of the content you're okay with okay-ish quality, and sometimes happen, like we had with MT solutions before. So try to have a good mapping in terms of needs and requirements that you have for this AI purpose.
Yeah. From my side, I want to mention several specific cases that we can use AI. So basically, we can use the AI to deal with some kind of data. So for example, if you have a lot of review comments on something and some information that you cannot read in this language, you can just try to use AI to maybe do translation, or maybe ask AI to read the content and give you a summary. So this is something that some of our clients, they actually do when they want to learn about something. And also you can use AI to get information about some a general stuff, like a common sense, like a country names, city names, and also a history stuff, geology stuff. So this kind of information, if you need to get any information, get any translation, try to think about AI and see if it can help you.
Right. Thank you. All right. So I think we're ready for the next question. So in a translation company I recently worked with, we also trained AI models, but it was Python scripts in Collab and a lot of manual TM selection. How quickly did you manage to wrap it in such a nice UI? That's very nice. I think we have the advantage of having a super good product manager here at Phrase, that we understand that our ultimate user it's not always developers. We're facing a group of customers who don't necessarily have the developing skill, but they are very good on managing projects. We're facing project managers in the localization industry, or maybe designers or linguists. So the UI being friendly is an essential part of Phrase Design's design ideology, basically. So I guess that's the reason why we have such a nice UI. But besides that, I guess our product manager might be able to answer that question better. Feel free to, we'll be sure to check our internal team and get back to you after this webinar. Thank you.
If I can add to that, Phrase does a really good job at including their customers, including us, onto sort of what we call usability testing or UX testing. Basically, whenever a new module is being launched, we are, and I'm sure it's not only us, but basically we're invited to actually play around during the development process and provide some feedback. And it was very good for us as an experience to actually see how it can actually come out as new features. But I'm sure it's also like helping Phrase to see from user perspective what would be the adjustments to be made. So, you know, one of the obviously the best practices to try to involve your customers and users in the development of the tool by the product development.
Thank you. All right, down to the last question. Does AutoLQA uses TMS limit? So I assume that one is about the TMS process words. So depending on if you're on the new pricing, if you are, AutoLQA actually consumes the target words, which is not a process words, because AutoLQA runs on a target segment, right? If you think about it. So basically it consumes AI unit, and each AI unit equals one target word. So that's how we calculate the limit. All right. So, okay, so we're at the end of this session. Thank you all for taking your valuable time with us. And thank you all again to all the panelists here. I think we all learned a lot. And we're really happy to invite you again in our next panel and next webinar. Thank you all. Have a great day.